Hey guys, it's your host for Tangle Talk, Shubham Das here. Today with us, we have a content creator, a life coach. Hi Sharanya, how are you?
Hi Shubham, I'm good. It's a pleasure to be here. How are you?
I'm doing great. So, guys, today we have a very interesting conversation about something extremely topical. We're going to talk about micro influencers. We're going to talk about personal branding. We're going to talk about content creation. These are the niche and upcoming fields which everybody wants to get actively involved in. And we have somebody with us here today who has been doing this. So, Sharanya, could you tell us how did you get started off that, this is something that you want to pursue?
This honestly started with me watching other creators on Instagram.
Right,
So I was in school and I used to feel very proud about following these informative pages on Instagram and learning things on Instagram. And I realized I'm actually learning so much here that I wouldn't actually be able to learn otherwise if I didn't follow the pages.
right.
Eventually, when I started college myself, I was 18
Mhm.
years old and I thought, you know what? I have some spare time. People are trying out all sorts of things. Why
Right.
not I try something new? And that's how I started creating content for Instagram.
Wow, that's really interesting. So, for those of you who don't know, she's also a certified life coach, and her content is all about positivity, about spreading the optimistic message, and about inspiring people. So, how do you find a niche for yourself? So, as a content creator, did you know that this is something that you are passionate about, or was this something that you felt that you want to explore and learn? How did you find this niche for yourself?
I found this niche after niching down a lot. I'll be honest. I started with a very general. Uh, I started actually as a
Hmm.
guitarist because I play guitar.
Okay,
Then I that didn't work out for me. I moved to fashion blogging. That didn't work
right.
out for me, and I was like, what should I do now? And then I decided, this is something I'm good at. I'm pursuing psychology, so I know stuff about
Right,
mental health and growth. And then I
right.
had recently started the life coaching course at that time, which now I have completed. So I thought I can
Hmm.
actually put this knowledge into good use, and
Wow.
that's how I found it,
Right.
and
So
it
that's a
worked.
really great message that, it's extremely important to try out different things before, settling in and finding your comfort zone. So, with a lot of content, I think we have a content dump on us. Like there is everybody who's trying to be an influencer. Everyone's, giving in their inputs and their opinions on life. How do you filter out what is good content and bad content?
I honestly don't think there's good content and bad content because
Okay.
if you don't try different types of content, you will never know what works for you. So I have
Hmm.
posted good content, bad content, mediocre content, but in the end, I have posted content, created content. That's how I am where I am right now because I didn't
Right.
start with the number of followers I have right now today, right? So the only difference between a good and bad content is I think if you're creating something because you like the idea, because you genuinely think this could inspire, motivate, or if you're a product business, let's say,
Hmm.
this could actually add value to people's lives, that's the main point.
Hmm.
And if you're just creating content for the sake of creating it, that you don't
Right.
internally really want to do it, but you're doing it just to gain followers or just to put it out there, that's
Hmm.
what differentiates it. If the main point here I think would be if it adds value, it's good
Right.
content.
Wow, that's really inspirational to see how you have been through all the ups and downs, and then you're finally settled into, what your niche is and what kind of content you want to build. Tell us about how do you grow in this field? Because unlike academics and other conventional things, which there is a particular syllabus or a particular path to your progression, over here, how do you know that you are growing as an influencer? Like, how do you make sure that your content is always evolving and you're giving more to your work?
Yes, that's a very good question because I think a lot of people measure their worth or their growth through that metric, number of likes, comments, and followers. I think that gives
Hmm.
you a brief idea, yes, but the
Right.
uh, actual measure should be your connection. If you're actually building connections with people, and I don't mean
Hmm.
just networking, that's a part of it. But when you
Hmm.
receive those genuine DMs telling you that, hey, you know what, I found this post really helpful. This
Right.
thing that you posted, it resonated with me. I tried this
Right.
thing that you posted and it worked. That should be the real measure of whether you're growing or not. And if you're experimenting with new styles, you feel inspired to
Right.
create content and you're happy
Hmm.
with it. It's not just something you're doing it because, yeah, I have to do it. That
Right.
mindset will not take you along.
All right, that's a really great message on, always taking customer feedback, because at the end of the day, this is a kind of service that you are providing for people, and it's always essential to know what your community wants, right? And I think the best part to do that is by engaging with your followers, by engaging with the people who view your content. So that's a really great thing. So this also brings me to something called personal branding. So you have branded yourself as someone who is a life coach, who talks about these kind of topics. How important is personal branding considering the increased online or increased virtual kind of world that we all live in? How important do you think is personal branding?
I think if I just say that it's very important, no
Mm-hmm.
one will care. Okay, I'll give you an example. You see
Right.
uh, all sorts of, let's say, soft drinks all over. There
Mm-hmm.
are hundreds of brands out there maybe in the world producing all kinds of
Definitely.
drinks. But what do
Right.
people buy? Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Thumbs
Right.
Up. These common ones are usually bought. You don't really
Correct.
bother about the generic ones. You see that label, you see that branding, there it is. Same
Right.
to social media. You see all sorts of content. But why is
Mm-hmm.
it that there are certain influencers, the big names, let's say Ranveer Alabadia, let's say
Right.
Jay Shetty, why are these people, even if they're posting what people consider mediocre or very average content, it's just one quote they picked up from somewhere, that will be
Mm-hmm.
more popular than something very, very deep and meaningful posted by, let's say, a smaller creator, just
Exactly.
because that's the power of brand. And that is why
Right.
I decided that instead of having a generic page for myself where I just post without actually creating a brand for myself, because people want a real person. They don't want
Exactly.
just post. They want to see a face.
Right.
They want someone they can connect with.
Definitely.
That's the point.
I think that's very true. But, even giving a few examples from what I've seen in my life, I've always noticed that nowadays it's not just about how much marks you score or how well you do on paper. It's a lot about how you are with people, what kind of network you have, what relationships you build, what kind of brand you represent online, how professional are you, and your whole community. I think that's very important for not just influencers and content creators, but for anybody living in this increasingly virtual world. So that's a really, really important lesson that I think everybody can learn from you. That So how do you start off by building this personal brand? So you have told me that you are active on a few platforms like Instagram, like Pinterest and Twitter. So have you like how do you pick these platforms where you want to be active on, and what's your how do you like channel your focus
Okay,
on
so
growing this personal brand?
when it comes to, I'll start with picking which platforms. Okay, it's
Right.
very, very personal. It depends on how much commitment you can from your side give to your personal brand and growth, and what
Right.
is feasible for you. So right now I
Mhm.
don't do YouTube. You might have
Okay.
thought the long form video, why isn't she doing that? It's because it takes a lot of effort to film long videos, script, film, edit, and do all. I do all the stuff myself, and
Right.
the return I get wouldn't be so much right now at this stage.
Mhm.
But later on, when I have a bigger audience and people generally want to listen to me, then I'll probably start with that, because I know people will be there for my content and they would want to listen to it, and I'll get the return on that time investment and energy investment. So that's
Definitely.
why, for me, short form content platforms work
Mhm.
better, and Pinterest is just offering really good growth right now with their idea pin. That's the sole reason why I started Pinterest.
Wow.
Um, coming
That's
to
really great to hear. Yeah. Go on.
Yeah, and coming to personal branding, if you ask me where to start, you have to create an identity for yourself. Just think of it as you meet a new group of people and you
Right.
go out there, you introduce yourself and you help them understand you, you kind of understand them. You tell them what your likes, dislikes are, what you are about, what you like talking about.
Hmm.
Social media and social life actually really, really can go hand in hand if you see how to
Definitely.
balance them out. So,
Right.
what you would do in a real life social situation, kind of do the same on social media. People forget that behind these screens, there's a real person sitting and watching their content.
That's a very quotable line you said. I would actually want a shirt with that on. But now that we have spoken about content creation, so let's get into it. I have to ask this. So
Mhm.
when you see the government of India ban something such as TikTok because there's like overcrowded pollution or overcrowded, bad content on that platform, you as a content creator, do you kind of feel pissed off that, this such a platform has been banned for so and so reasons?
Personally, yes, because if TikTok was still a thing in India, I'm sure I
Hmm.
would have done well there also, because the algorithm is such that it really promoted the creators, and many creators
Right.
actually earn their livelihood from there. So
Right.
I don't know why and what was the government's thought process there, but it happened. So for me,
Hmm.
the bottom line is always that I can't control what happened or what happens. but I can only control how I respond to it. So soon after
Right.
that, Instagram came with the whole Reels thing in India, and India was among the
Exactly.
first countries where Reels was launched. Creators switched from
Hmm.
there to here. So, you know, the market is quite open, and
Right.
businesses may go out of business, but people never go out of this.
Mhm.
As simple as
Yeah,
that.
I think creativity never goes out of business. So, talking about content, the problem which we notice in society nowadays is that there's a stigma around content creators that it's extremely easy. That making a reel or TikTok, you just have to lip sync to a song. So,
Mm.
what is your opinion as a content creator? Could you give us an insight as to what goes into the process of making content in terms of drafting a script as well as ensuring your audio is all correct and performing it?
That's a very good question because people think TikTok lip syncing and everything is easy. It's not. Although that's not the kind of content that I create, but being a creator, I can tell you that even for those reels that you find entertaining and you laugh and you scroll past, they also take time and effort. You have to think
Right.
about it. Not every shot is correct. My own reels, I think I at least have to take 3 to 5 shots for each of them. And also just from
Right.
thinking about ideas, it's a constant process. Every single day, I have this notes app where I have a full list of ideas. Anytime they pop
Right.
up, I run to my phone, I write them down. And then filming, you can't just wake up and start filming. You have to make sure you look good, you sound good, your body language and your expressions and everything match. So you have to
Right.
align a lot of things. So I usually, as a creator, batch create my videos because it's easier that way. But the problem is it takes time. Every time I create content, it takes me hours at once to film videos. Then when I'm posting them, I edit them
Mhm.
as on the day I'm posting my videos. It's just easier. It breaks down the process into like simpler fragments. So editing it
Right.
takes time. When you post it, you can't just post and ghost. You have to go
Right.
engage with other accounts. Other creators, they need your support and they support you back. That's how initially you begin with engagement. And then you have to reply to comments on your post. So it takes hours of attention, time, conscious, intentional effort. It's not just
Right.
you made the video and you're gone.
Exactly. So it's almost like a full-time job. It's not something which you just post and like suddenly you have thousands of followers and thousands of views.
Yeah,
You have to engage with similar content creators. You have to comment on their posts and they share your posts and things of that sort. These are all the things which go on the background which not a lot of people know of. And thanks for shedding some light in these things. So you spoke a bit about editing. Let's also talk about the science of it. So you must have gone through YouTube, you must have studied about Facebook, and now it's the time of Instagram and Snapchat these days. And I read this really interesting statistic that the attention span of the Gen Z has reduced down to 6 seconds, and it so happens to be that that's the same content time for things like TikTok and Reels.
yeah.
So all of these advertising companies, marketing companies, everybody has moved on to short form of content. So do you see this thing as a sustainable thing on the longer run, or where do you think content creation at large is going? Is it going to get shorter and shorter, or is it going to saturate at some point of time? What's your opinion?
I don't think it's going to saturate because people every day, the amount of content being created and consumed, I can't put
Hmm.
that figure into numbers. And people
Right.
are used to it, right? So even if it's not Instagram, some other platform will emerge. There were so many platforms like Vine which are not there anymore, but Instagram's
Correct.
there, TikTok, YouTube, and right now we have these 7 second, 5 second reels, very short ones. We have maximum up to 30 seconds at the moment, but YouTube is not dead.
Hmm.
People are still consuming that content, and podcasts are not dead. There's no video there, but people still like to listen to it. People don't listen to the
Right.
FM radio as much, but I'm sure
Hmm.
podcasts kind of similar in a way, but it's still, so that's what like we discussed before, that creativity and people don't go out of business. So
Hmm.
if not this platform, something else will come up, but content creation is not going to saturate or die down.
Right. So let's actually get into the nitty gritties of it. I'm sure you use a few mobile apps or some kind of
Mhm.
softwares to like edit your videos, plug in music and stuff. So could you give us like any three or four examples such as Canva or Vimeo or any in short or anything that you use or which our listeners can use to get equipped with the toolkit to content creation?
Yes. Before sharing any of those, first and most important thing I've learned I would like to share is that the simpler you keep it, the better it is. Not just for you
Hmm.
in terms of the time and effort you put, but also the audience is moving to, like we discussed, shorter like attention span. So the simpler
Right.
it is to consume, the easier it is. So I use Canva for designing my text posts. and
Right.
covers of videos or something like that, or stories sometimes. And then I use
Mhm.
InShot for editing. But I film my videos on Reels. I add
Right.
text on Reels. Subtitles, I use this app which is called Voicella. There are many apps you'll find for subtitles. Some are paid, some are free. Some you just have to watch a video ad and it's done.
Mhm.
So there are plenty of that stuff you can find. But these are the main apps I toggle between: Instagram, Canva, and InShot.
Right. Thank you so much for telling us that. So now our listeners know what kind of equipment they need to get started with it. Now, coming again back to the algorithm. So you must have done some back-end analysis as to there must be some times in like some durations, like let's say 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. where you post and you get better outreach. So what can you tell us a few other things you as a content creator have to analyze in the background in terms of posting times or like kind of content or duration of content and things of that sort? What are the things to keep in mind?
Yes. This is you asking me at the time where everything has just become so easy that you barely have to bother about it anymore. When I started
Mm-hmm.
out, I had to literally sit down and do hashtag research for every post. 30 hashtags, five hashtags that are really big, then there's some that are smaller and niche and whatnot. Right now, the current
Right.
update from Instagram just says that 8 to 15 specific hashtags, where about 3 tell what you do. Let's say you're a baker. So you are a baker,
Mm-hmm.
Indian baker, hashtag Indian baker, hashtag some other bakery related hashtag, okay, like Bakers of India, something like that. And then you
Mm.
post very specific hashtag about the photo or the video that you're sharing. Earlier it
Right.
was really huge range, but now it's very specific because you don't want to confuse the algorithm.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on to the posting time. That is something you can easily find on your insights section. So if you have an Instagram, you should have firstly a creator account or a business account. Creator account is
Mm-hmm.
better because you have access to the full music library. Business account, no.
Right.
So
Mm-hmm.
go to your analytics and insights section, and there you will
Right.
find, you click on audience, you'll find that entire, graph presented to you. Which days they are the most active and what hours. So for me, it's usually 9 p.m. Indian Standard Time where my audience is the
Okay.
most active, and I try posting around that. Maximum I'll go is 9:30,
Mm-hmm.
and my post and everything is
Mm-hmm.
ready beforehand. What else
Right.
would you want to know?
No, I mean, this gives us a good insight as to, I just wanted our listeners to know that this is not some random thing that, you just post and
Yes.
look pretty and suddenly you're an influencer, right? There
Mm.
goes a lot of science, it goes a lot of analysis, a lot of insights into becoming a social media creator. So let's get into the actual meat of the argument. Everybody wants to become viral, everybody wants to be the next big thing on social media. So what is your experience with blowing up on social media, and what is the myths and realities of viral content or becoming blowing up on social media?
The most important thing is that if you want to blow up on social media, you're on the wrong path.
Mm-hmm.
I always say there's no right and wrong mostly, but this is the wrong way to move forward. Why? Because instant gratification is something we all are so used to, but we tend to forget that what goes up comes
Mm-hmm.
down just as fast. So
Right.
there are many accounts that blew up because of Reels, but it's not very sustainable because you're not ready to handle that much audience and that much work at that moment. So
Exactly.
let's say an account has been growing slowly. They started from 0, 500, 2000, 5000, 10,000. They have every day, adapted to that process. If you suddenly turn
Right.
the temperature in the room really high or really low, it will be a drastic change. But if you gradually build up, it's different, right? So slow and steady wins the race applies here too. Now, this does not apply to all people. If you happen to blow up, that's great. Because of course it's been your
Mm-hmm.
consistent efforts that one post got viral or one video blew up, whatever it is. But don't go
Exactly.
with the intention of blowing up. Go with the intention of why are you here? And I always
Exactly.
recommend this to every creator. Start with why. Take a piece of paper, note down why am I doing this? What is my purpose behind it? For me, I really genuinely want to add value to people's lives. I genuinely want people to learn how to live more freely, how to live a more
Mm-hmm.
fulfilling life. Little things that they can change about their life that will help them, live more effectively. So your list of
Exactly.
whys is what should keep you going, not your number of followers, not your incentives and perks that come with it. Your
Mm-hmm.
purpose, your real reason, that's what matters.
Exactly. I think that's a very beautiful message, and I think it's extremely relevant because the kind of content that we see nowadays, it's like, just come and they're
Yeah.
suddenly famous and they just die out and it's just a hype, right? But
Mm.
as a content creator, you don't want to be a hype. You want to be something that, lasts the test of time. and to last the test of time, it's extremely important for you to be disciplined, to be consistent, as well as to be extremely true to what your content is, and as you said, have a reason for everything that you pursue. So I think I also want to ask you about self growth. So you as a person, you do get probably a lot of DMs where people give you feedback, where people thank you. So how does that affect you as a person, or how much does that inspire you, and how does self growth happen in terms of being a content creator?
That is definitely one of the best parts about being a content creator, because when you get feedback, you can improve. Whether it's constructive criticism or whether it's good feedback, it all depends on how you take it. So for
Hmm.
me, when I started out, I was really kind of underconfident. I used to think that, what if this information I put out is wrong? What if I mess up? No,
Right.
all the what ifs in my head, but I never really thought to myself, what's the worst that can happen?
Hmm.
So once I got used to it, once I started, getting in the process and my creative juices started flowing, let's say, then I realized that, what, if I keep these fears in my head, I won't be able to progress anywhere. And removing fears in this particular sphere of my life, social media, helped me grow otherwise as well. And I started seeing
Right.
everything from a different perspective. So one triple that started here has really spread out to all dimensions of my life, and in many other ways. I learned a lot of
Right.
skills, designing, social media management, public speaking. I do it much
Hmm.
better than before. If you see my first video versus my latest one, you'll notice the difference.
Right.
Definitely, it has helped.
That is so inspirational, like the way you spoke about how just pursuing one thing can have a ripple effect on your life, on the other facets of your life, and make you an overall better person. I think that's a really beautiful message, and I think that's something which we really promote at Tangled, where learners can connect with like-minded individuals through free courses, and meet instructors of their age and take up things that they are passionate about on our platform and gain the kind of knowledge. And I think that's something which is at the core of what we do here at Tangled. So that's a really, really beautiful message that you've given us. And I hope that you continue to grow. All of us will definitely check out your page and support your content, just like everybody should support each other and help in each other's growth. So, coming to the towards the end of our podcast, I really want to know that how does it feel to be an influencer? I'm sure it's an extremely competitive space. So, how do you keep rewarding yourself for being satisfied with your work, and how do you deal with failures?
That's a very good question. I think firstly, I like to focus on the first thing you asked me. How does it feel to be an influencer? I think more than anything else, it feels like a lot of responsibility, because when there are people who follow you, who look up to you, everything you do and they know about it really tends to affect them really deeply. So I have to make sure that I walk my talk. I am what I'm doing is right, and nothing that I, let's say, endorse or anything that I say, nothing should affect them in a bad way. So that's
Right.
one thing. Of course, it also feels really good that you're making that impact, but it comes with a lot of responsibility and accountability as well.
How do you deal with your failures? So I'm sure that some of your posts don't do that well, or you don't get
Yeah.
that much outreach. How do you still keep going? What motivates you?
Yeah, this takes us back to the list of whys. That's the only thing that keeps me going, because I have had a very slow growth, and it's only in the past few months that I've started seeing an upwards curve finally. But the only reason why I didn't give up, and I saw many of my fellow creators whom I started with, they have, they blew up.
Mhm.
Some of them did not blow up, but many of them just gave up because the growth curve was down. But remember, what goes up goes down. What goes down also comes up. So it's
Mm.
not that in future I will do well. That's not what my main motivating factor is. It's just that I know why I'm here. What's my purpose? Why am I doing this? And that's the only thing that keeps me going. And if that's the kind of mindset you come here with, or with any field of life, anything that you're pursuing, if your purpose and your why is clear, it will guide you and it will motivate you.
Right. I think that's a really, really great message to end with, that you always need to remember why you're doing things in life, and that is your sole source of motivation, and that will always keep you going. I think we all had a really, really fun time listening to you, Sharanya. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you had a great chat too.
Thank you so much for having me here. I loved it. Looking forward to again connecting with you guys.